Tuesdays the vibe, the clock hits 8. No filters here, just talk that straight. Laugh so loud it can shake the gate. Facebook fam always pulling their weight. We hit live, roll like the streets we roam. Truth in the mic, we don't play clone. Real ones know this is where it's grown. No bravado, just a real top zone. No bravado, that's the code. We go live and we unload. Real talk flows never slow. Facebook crew, that's the road. No bravado, no disguise. Tuesday nights we energize. Truth and laughter we baptize. Tune in fam, we're on the rise.
Good evening, No Bravado Massive. How are you today? Let's welcome our fabulous DMT to the stage. I really should get sound effects so that you can have like a
applause.
Yeah, man. A nice
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Just you and I today, Sugar. Gary may pop in at some point, but
okay.
I'm fine with it because you're a great conversationalist. So
and you're hilarious. So this should be interesting.
It should be an interesting one. May I look for? All right, here we go. This is what I'm looking for, so I can copy this and send it out. Right. So I was saying to you offline, we was just checking in. We're going to be, our respective birthdays are coming up. I'd like to do something. You're 24th, I'm 25th. I think James Leng is
24
as
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So Taurus season. I mean, we're still in Aquarius season, but you know how Taurus, we're
Never
both
mind. Oh, well.
Hang on, let me just shut this door. I should have done this before. 1 minute.
All right.
Washing's doing. I don't want to hear the background noise. Oh, let me add. Welcome Spotlight to the stage. Welcome Spotlight.
Hi Spotlight.
How Spotlight listeners, how you doing? Carl has been our broadcaster for a couple of months now, and it's been a nice little journey. So yeah, glad to be a part of the Spotlight family. So welcome. Hello. Let's see who this is. It says hello. We've been getting a lot of racist. I'm frightened for the comments on YouTube because we get a lot of racist trolls on YouTube, boy.
They're bored, man. They're bored. They got nothing to do.
Yeah, but now I figured out how to ban them and kick them out of the thing. So let's do this. You know what I mean? I'm not even on it. Yeah. All right. So anything you want to talk about that you're up to? Any projects? Anything that we should look out for before we start?
So, and I just want to say, I shouldn't really announce it on here because these people are going to be like, the H&H crew be like, what? She didn't say anything to us. But right. I too have got myself a StreamYard. So look out. It's 10 years. The 16th of April is 10 years since I started Another Night of Sisterhood. Myself, Yvonne, and another sister that started it with us. So all the things that I am known for started 10 years ago. So I'm really, really proud. I can't work out if I should do a dinner or do something, but I really want to mark the occasion. So yeah, we will be back in person and online. But yeah, just to say that Anos is back, I think it's much needed. I think, you know, it's come back to take its place, to have those real community conversations.
Yeah. And it's something that you was always very strong and very good at. Why did it kind of taper out?
It tapered out because I can't pour from an empty cup. And I had so many aspirations, as you lot know. In 2024, I ran for MP for Croydon West, and that was the last bit of strength I had. And then I needed to just like go away, regroup, and also I needed to re-educate myself. I needed to up my level. I had to level up. So halfway, nearly 3/4 through the masters. Can you believe it? I've got my dissertation. I'm going to be starting to. I'm really excited. And
that's big things.
Yeah. So that, and then I don't think many of you know. I didn't announce it on here, but quietly, I am now a qualified domestic homicide review chair and author. Also, domestic homicides that take place because of through domestic abuse. I went on that course. I'm qualified now, so I can write reports after the death of somebody caused by domestic abuse, and then those reports will then go through to the Home Office. So I have been doing big things just quietly.
I love it.
Yeah, so you know me, always leveling up somewhere. But that was also a lot. That was really that was a difficult course, but I got there.
Yeah. Not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. You always are. I don't know. You're an interesting character because you're very inspirational. You're so well. Just everything. You're just well spoken. You're well educated. You know your stuff, but you're also very grounded and very real. So there's a lot of people who are in that position, and then they're not. It's almost as if they change who they are.
Yeah, I am.
Does that make sense? Making sense?
No, you're right. You know, people them say people get rich and switch. No, not that I'm rich, but I know what you mean. People do change, and
Yeah.
but I keep myself grounded because me know where I come from, and I come from here, like my community. There is no, and I can't tell you how many times that's been a saving grace. And I've watched other people, Trisha, you know,
Yeah.
like us, who have, they get to the big place and you forgot where you come from. And the black communities are, it will remind you if you forget where you come from. So me, I always keep it level and just be myself.
And well done to you. You certainly are that. Always real, always yourself, always honest, very educational. Just love it. Just love the way that you are.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Serious questions. Are you the ladies that the Russian guy picked up? Plant-based diet. Well, I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm wondering if I should ban him. Let's see what else he got. Because now I know how to do this ban thing, boy. Hey.
Two little rudeness and them gone. You're the lady that the Russian guy picked up.
What Russian guy? Where am I talking about?
I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, moving on swiftly.
Moving on. Let me share my screen. First topic. Have you heard? I don't know if they're doing this foolishness in Croydon, but there's this someone put up a site asking for kids to, like, if you're from one side of, if you're in the blue and you're in the red zone, if you cross over into the red zone, to film it and to be violent and send the video recordings to this particular platform. And apparently it started already.
Exactly. So it's funny, I had my meetings, I've had non-stop meetings online today, and all of them were about this thing. So yes, it has reached Croydon. If you follow me and you see my page today, I put it on my stories. We got together and put a community response. I don't know who Daniel's calling ragamuffins.
He calls us that every week. I love him. He's part of the family. He's safe. He's not being a troll. But he calls us ragamuffins every week.
Because I'll reholster my weapon. But yeah,
trolls it.
So yeah, it is something that's been going on. It started in Hackney apparently, and yeah, the page that put it up just took it down and whatever. But of course, you don't know how many children have seen it. You don't know what their response will be. So yeah, it's been a big concern today, definitely.
Right, because apparently there was like big police outside the Hackney schools and stuff like that, and the violence has already started. What are we saying to parents? What would your message be to parents and the community?
My message has been to parents, carers, aunts and uncles. Talk to your young people. It's half term, right? Some people have 2 and 3 jobs. Just have a word with them. Tell them that there's a circular, there's something that's circulating in the communities with some concerning comms. Because if you look at the flyers, they talk about war and it's very combative, the messaging on them. Yeah. So, and it's named in Croydon, it's named, versus schools. This is something that parents, grandparents, uncles and aunts, need to be talking to the young people about, asking them questions. Because I don't know about the one in Hackney, but the one for Croydon, they're saying, catch your op out It's a pair of scissors, which is a bladed article, a compass, a school compass, a comb, and a ruler. They're saying you take these things and do an action against your op, and that video, you get extra points if you video it. This is only going to lead to mayhem, which I think the originators knew, and that was part of what they were trying to do. But of course, for us in the community, it causes concerns. It's just something for parents to just ask their young people, you know about it? You know, are you planning on joining it? You know, just kind of have that room temperature check with your children about it.
Yeah. It's concerning.
It is.
It is concerning. And you know, sometimes I think to myself, not often, but sometimes I think to myself, maybe you should have had 1 or 2 kids. And then things like this pop up, and then I think, the stress and the worry, and you're sending your kids to school and you don't even know if they're going to come back because some idiot decides to start something
it's
like
not
this.
your my worry has never really been my children, because I know what I've poured into my children, Trisha. It's the idiots out there who have children.
Yeah,
so you're not worried for your children.
Into your children, but what if your child is the one that gets hurt?
That's what I'm saying.
You know,
my thing has never been. It's always been other children that don't come from the same place. The parents them have them like scatter. Yes.
Yeah.
What would they do to my child? Yes. That's been a fear. But God, live with the wood. You can't touch any wood. Better touch my head, actually. You know, 22, 20, and 18 this year. It's not been an issue.
It's not been an issue. Thank God for that.
Yeah. Imagine somebody's ringing my doorbell now. Give me 2 minutes, please.
No worries.
Thank you, darling.
So has anybody in the comments been affected by this? Talk to me, let me know. It's been quite concerning. I think that it just seems like it's aimless, and it always seems like it's in our communities. And it's our kids. So what are we going to do about this? What are we going to do to prevent things like this happening? Daniel saying, it's madness. It's a shame things have gone downhill when the government told you wasn't allowed to lick your kids, which is what I'm going to get into that in a minute, actually. Told you wasn't allowed to lick your kids. Fear of retribution against discipline in your children has meant kids are more unruly than ever. So that's actually one of my topics, because let me pick it up and share my screen. That's actually one of the topics today. Do you agree with that comment, Don?
I do. I think Daniel's pretty much, you know, hit the nail on the head. I think parents quickly bought. I think my feeling is this. Let me just be completely honest. I think with an onset of a welfare state, people have become very government dependent for messaging, for direction. This didn't happen in our day because our parents had their own mind. But where the government has taken on more and more functions of the family, we've now got messaging from the government saying, you know, don't beat your kids. I still did. And with it, now we have young people, as Daniel says, who, I mean, I work in a children's home. I've done an episode of No Bravado from that home. And if anybody remembers, I was hopping about from room to room. They don't have no behavior. They don't have any emotional intelligence. They just don't have anything in lieu of some discipline. You know, we're not talking about battering children at this point, but children need discipline. 100%. And I think we've gone completely the other way now, where, you know, Johnny had a bad egg, so, you know, he needs SEN and he needs this. No, Johnny just had a bad egg, because we've always had people with learning disabilities and different ways, divergent learning, they call it. And we've never had this level of it's almost like a nanny state. And I think we've gone to the other extreme. And so we've got children and parents, because these children don't hatch on the street by themselves, parents who don't know how to parent. They have children, but they don't know how to parent. They're cute, you know, with their little gold chain and their little baby trainers. And then you suddenly got a child that's never been disciplined, and you expect the state, you know, you hear, I will often be called by parents, what's the school going to do about it? Well, what did you do about it? Because the head teacher wasn't there in the bedroom. What did you do about it? And I think we've gone too far the other way.
Yeah. Good evening, Charm. Thanks for joining us. She's saying there was a recent injury stabbing in Kingsbury School 15. Is that due to this stupid ops thing that's come up, or was that just a normal? Is it because that's the thing? It is normal now. Knife crime just seems to be normal. So we're not even like, oh my god anymore, because it just seems to be something that's happening. Some parents are raising ruthless children, and that's so sad. Yeah, says Fiona. Um, yeah,
You
saying
listen.
they have nothing to fear.
When I'm 60, if God spares my life, I'm going to write a piece of book. You see, everybody should buy it, because in this book will be all of my experience. I honestly thought everybody was raised the way we have been raised, Trisha, and my
Yeah,
work has shown me so many different ways that people are living,
yeah.
that I often wonder how society hasn't come to a crash before now. But I can perfectly see how why we are and where we are right now. The stories, honestly, I could keep us here for 3 days on No Bravado with the stories that will
Give us
just
one.
blow your mind.
Give me
It was
one.
one young man. It was one young man. I started working with the police, and I wanted to see what they were doing. So we went out at night. They picked me up at midnight. By 1 o'clock, we picked up a young man in his school clothes, just standing on the street corner. The police got out, spoke to him. He said he didn't have any bus fare to get home. This is slightly before the Oyster card and all of this, right? So he still needs a little bus fare to get to him this time. He said he didn't have it. He lived the other end of the borough. When we got there, the police officers were saying to him, "Are you sure that your mum is in?" He said, "Yeah, my mum is in." They said, "Are you sure?" Because his house was in darkness. I got out of the carrier, walked up with them. It never looked like anybody was there. Anyway, we knocked the door, and the door opens. And inside, there is a mum and four other siblings sleeping on sponge. You know sponge? You ever
Like the
anybody know
men.
sponge? But I thought they was keeping up some obia thing. The first thing when I walk in, I said, "But weird, what am I doing, obia?" Missing me never see so much candle in my life. I
Oh
said,
no, electricity.
no. So now we've gone into the kitchen because the police officer, the female police officer, and you know, female police officer already, them fast your ass. Then gone
Right.
in a kitchen to go open up fridge. And the mum was basically saying the electric's been off for 3 days, the water's been off, which is illegal if you've got children under 16. Thames Water can't switch off your water. Anyway, all of
Right.
this stuff was going on. And I went home and I was like, raw. These are black children in the same borough as me that I've bed. They're on sponge.
Wow.
Yeah. But what they did have was the biggest Samsung television that was on the wall in the front room. So
But
I
they've
say
got
all of
no
that to
electricity
say,
to watch it.
no, there was no electricity to watch it.
Fucking hell.
But you know, when you just look around, the police officers had their torchlight on. We couldn't, where they lived, there were no, like, you know, where I lived near Thornton Heath, you got them all through the night shop, so you could, top up a little electric and whatever. There was nothing there. And before we left, we said, "When will you get some money?" She said, "Well, it's 3 days before I can get any money." So you know what the officers did? And this is one of the things I have to say, and I'm no big supporter of police. They drove him and one of the other siblings down to Asda in Beddington Lane, and they bought them flannels, soap, and they did a whip round. I'm telling you, they did a whip round in the carrier of officers' money. This was no petty cash they had. This was their own money, and they did a quick shop for mum, and we took it back. No lie.
Yeah, so these are the stories that we don't hear about the police that actually, yeah. Well, Daniel's saying, a village no longer raised children like back in the day. No, parents will come for you, like if you chat to their kids. Sham says, evening, Trisha and Donna, evening, Sugar
Hi,
Plum.
Sean.
That's a sad state. That it is. Which brings me on to our first topic of the evening. Let
Mhm,
me share screen. So we've kind of answered a lot of it, but I just want to go on to it anyway.
mhm.
Um, so what are your thoughts on this? Parents, do you think the system is making it hard to discipline your children? Asks Rena Sparks. To discipline your child, or do you believe mum should have used other means to discipline her child? Mum was arrested after beating her teenage daughter with a belt because she stole £1,600 from her. So she's arrested because because the kid stole 1,600 quid. Hang on, Chica's here. Hey, Jigs. Hello? Are you there? All right, let me remove him. Oh, there he is. Hello? Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yeah, can't
You
see you
Yeah,
at
yeah.
all.
I remember I told you I'm driving in. I'm driving in.
Doesn't matter
I'm
anyway. At
driving.
least we can hear you. So, firstly, let me catch you up. We were talking about.
Hello?
Can you hear us?
Oh,
Can you hear us, Gary?
is he stuck there?
He's
Is it a bit
stuck. Yeah.
buffled? If he's on the
Yeah.
road, he might not get constant Wi-Fi, innit?
StreamYard is not having it. You need Wi-Fi for StreamYard. So anyway, back to what we were saying. Mum's arrested for beating. Do you think she should have used other means other than beating her with the belt?
Boy, I'm not here to judge because if one of my hold on, let me speak properly. I cannot judge the mother because if
Speak at
one of
you.
my children, right, the thief £1,600 from me don't even know if they will find body left for fine for come arrest me about because they're just missing. I mean, you, you, you just. I'm sure the mum is probably of our generation. She lost her temper. She picked up the belt. There's so many feelings that you're going to be disappointed, betrayed. It could have been your little last money that you're saving for whatever. The child don't know. She just see that money and she gone with it. I'm not going to judge mum about taking up the belt and harassing her. I'm not. However, she is. I mean, Trisha, in these times, £1,600 to even save that much. To even save that much. And I bet you it's nothing more than a girl go and take the money. Thanks, Shaw. And you'd agree with me. Go take the money, go do foolishness with it to boast off in front of her friends. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I'm not going to judge the mum because you know what? If it was one of mine, oh, sweet Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gary, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
You can hear us? Okay. Yeah, I can hear you now. Because StreamYard needs heavy. I don't know if it will work with you in and out driving because StreamYard needs Wi-Fi, even with the Wi-Fi. So
like that.
we'll try and see if we could go. We're talking about first we were talking about this thing in Hackney where they've put up a site just basically encouraging violence between schools. And it's reached to Croydon from what Donna is. Yeah, it's reached. Oh, you've not seen it? Yeah. Police, someone was saying in the group that there was like police lined all the way up in the Hackney schools, like they're taking it really seriously. Some kids are scared. One mum I met today, she stopped me and she was like, "Oh, Trisha from No Bravado, I'm the one that was telling you what happened." So she was telling me that people are scared, that about their kids are scared, and people are chaperoning kids to school and so on and so forth. And some people in the comments were saying that they think it's because of like old school, like lack of discipline, lack of old school discipline. This is why the kids are behaving so you disagree?
Yeah, when I used to go to a school called Finchley Catholic High School for bad boys, criminals, and gangsters, and every year we would have fight with Aloysius. We used to travel from Finchley and go all the way down to Archway looking for Aloysius school. So inter-school fights have been going on for years.
Yeah, but in our time they were
I'm talking that was 80s.
Yeah, but in our time it was completely different. It wasn't as violent. It wasn't like I'll film it and you get extra points for filming it and be violent and take a bladed, a bladed article. We weren't stabbing. We were like having fights, but
you'd fist up somebody, but you're not stabbing.
Yeah, do you know, I don't know. Even when I was at college, God rest his soul, um, Roger Sylvester, because when I was in college, when he got cut on his face, that was, I mean, that was in the 80s. The man come in there and slash his face with it in the thing. So I mean, knives have been around. People have been wetting people up from telephone from when I was at school.
Yeah, but I hear you, Gary, but I think the added angle of it's a versus thing, yeah, where and they've called out the schools. So on the one for Croydon, they've listed two sets of schools. There's about 12 schools in all, 6 schools apiece, and they're telling them come out, use these articles, get your op, video it, and you'll get extra points for how many of these go on social media. Fighting, I'm not against fighting at all. But if it's going to be videoed, I mean, the repercussions of that, now we live in the digital era. We grew up in a time when we didn't have, there wasn't a digital era. So it was different then. You could have roamed the streets and fight who you want. But now everything goes and it cannot be erased. So this is, you know, my thing for young people is if you put that on there, it's not erased. You're looking for employment. These are the things that come up when people put your name in certain. Do you understand?
Yeah,
like it's a different time.
I think he's stuck. He's gone now.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll be back when he's back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a different time, and it wasn't as like I remembered when there was this girl. I'm not gonna call her name, but she knows who she is if she's watching, and we used to fight on sight because we didn't like each other. She accused me of doing something that I didn't do, and I was defending it. I weren't having a bar of it, and we used to fight on sight and fight until we're tired. And then there was another guy. He was a notorious guy in our area. He had some acid and a knife, and he gave it to me, and he was like, cut her and wet her, and I just wouldn't do it. But I was like, no, we're fighting. I'm not cutting. That's a different story now. I'm not throwing acid on nobody or cutting them.
Jesus.
I'm not doing that. But
No.
I remember he did say that he gave it to me to do it to her. And I didn't do it, but I think it would be done now.
Oh yeah. I mean,
and that's the problem.
I think now is yeah, I think now is
it's different times.
It's a I remember once we had, you know, Croydon was, you know, we've always had our crisis points, and we were there was a particular area that became a hotspot, and we were sat down in the McDonald's talking to this young girl, and she suddenly produced all the parts of a gun from underneath her clothing, and she was waiting for one of her boyfriend's mandem to come and pick up these parts of a gun. And then her friend who was sat beside her had the ammunition. So you know, tell you,
it's serious times out here now.
I've worked with families in Islington where the young girls from a certain community, Muslim community, were shuffling guns and knives underneath the bedding of the newborn babies in prams. Like I tell you, when my book hit the streets, people, my God. So it's a different time. And I know when Gary's talking, but that would have been, even then, that wasn't the norm. It would have been exactly as he said, the bad boys then would have gone look for a scuff up. Do you understand? Now, these children are off the hinge.
Right.
I'm not promoting for us to be afraid of children. That's not what I'm promoting. But I just think the community needs to be a little more alert, right, as to what is going on with these youths out here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, late last year, I was in Islington. I was at my flat, and I was walking up onto the high road, and there was a bunch of black boys, and they were gonna jump a white boy, and all of the adults stood around, and everyone was petrified. No one wanted to get involved. And I always wondered what I would do if I was in that situation, because I've never seen like a jumping situation where everyone's jumping on one, because I'm like filming it like, oh my God, can't someone just stop that? But then at the same time, you're frightened to get involved because you want to get home to your family and you want to get home to your family safe. So it's six of one and half a dozen of the other. But I was faced with that scenario, and I went in not humble, but just kind of like saying to them, look, don't do it, like stop it, you go your way. Like, you think if you black boys jump this white boy, who do you think is gonna end up? You think it's gonna end well for you? Like, get out of here. Only one of them was rude. Like, oh, chum, move, man. Do you know what I mean? But when I said it's you lot that's gonna go prison for 25 or more, I heard one of them go, go home, please, you lot, please. I was begging them, please, please. And then they dispersed. He went his way, they went their way. And then a white woman said to me, "You done a good thing here. You done a great thing tonight." And I'm like, well, yeah, but I was scared, but I wasn't, because if they turn on you, but at the same time, like, you lot can't be out here jumping on and killing. You just can't do it. Go home. Just go home, man. Cha. But
yeah, 100%. Like, I'm glad that we're the age that we are now, because we now have auntie status.
yeah,
So from you going there in a certain way, they know. And I'm yet to meet, for all I've said, I'm yet to meet a black child who does not respond to auntie status.
yeah,
So, I've met some shotters, killers, the baddest man, they're dead behind the eyes,
yeah,
but they
yeah,
still respect. They can tell when an adult cares or feels for them. Yeah.
yeah, they can. Only one of them, like I said, was like, "Charlie, man, just come on, you move out the way because we're gonna do him." And I'm like, well, so when you lot do him, who do you think's gonna end up worse off? You're going 25
100%.
minimum. Yeah, go home.
Go
And
on.
they
It's
heard
not
me.
worth it.
They heard me. So that was that.
We give
Charm said,
thanks.
right. So, you know what I mean? Saved a few lives that one day. And, it wasn't, I'd like to think that maybe you should have just walked on and not got yourself involved. But at the same time, man, like, you can't. Sean says, I'm a 70 baby and old school. She went out of her way. She had to put the money back. Yeah, going back to the kid that stole the money.
Yes.
Daniel says, we're meant to be handing out lessons, and sometimes children need to feel in order to learn. Now the child has the power going forward. Yeah, I think that's what's really wrong with, because there is a thin line to me. I think Gary doesn't agree with old school whoopings. There's a thin line between abuse and discipline, but to not have any power at all as a parent is a huge part of the problem.
100%. And discipline doesn't mean whoopings. Did I tell you about the time that my dad measured out a square meter of turf and I had to cut it to a certain inch height? There was no beatings involved, but boy, was that a piece of discipline, and boy, did I learn from it. I think as well, in our culture, we think that discipline is a lick or a thump. You can be ingenious. You can turn off the Wi-Fi. There's so many things you can do as a parent, rather than that whole knee-jerk reaction. There was a time I told Marva and Danny, God rest their souls, those are my parents, if anybody listening, that all they did was take my child allowance and did the things that they wanted. So they said, okay, and they called me back and they gave me my child allowance for the week, and I had to feed myself from that money. I never drink so much tea in my life. Again, no whooping. But the life lesson was, do you understand? So I do think it's, obviously, I'm a highly intelligent person. So my parents gave me a highly intelligent, discipline. It falls on parents to look and know their child, to know what kind of discipline is needed. What's proportionate for one child is not going to be proportionate for another. And so this is, again, how we come down to talk about parenting. It's not just lick and thump down like we used to have. Discipline can take many forms. It doesn't just have to be that. It can be a curtailment of whatever, money, curfew, whatever it is you feel. But I'm sure, sis, that particular instance, if I find out £1,600, I want to find the £1,600 first. That's me. But if I found out one of my, something's going to happen. There's going to be some furniture moving up and down in that yard for sure.
A friend of mine, she her son was misbehaving at school, so she locked him in his bedroom, took everything out of his bedroom, locked him in the bedroom, put like a bucket in there so that he could poo, put the mattress on the floor, and like cut a hole in the door, and was handing him his, because she said, "It's prison you're going,
That's
so
right.
this you might as well get used to it from now."
100%.
Pass up. I laugh. Lock him in there. I said, so you never let him out for the whole week, stay in there. But then even that, they would say, is too far in terms of discipline, right?
They would
It's not
probably.
just about beating, it's about what they would
No,
deem as
that was
emotional abuse.
that was a very inventive piece of discipline that you just described there, and it doesn't have to be. We immediately think of that because that is very much part of our, African Caribbean culture. Yeah, the licking thing. No, I've just given you two that I suffered as a child, and I tell you, I'm 52 in April. I remember them to this day very, very clear. The first one with the turf, I told them I was bored, and they said, "Is it okay?" And they found me something to do. The second one, I was a teenager, and I told them that they're taking my money, doing what they want with it, and they said, "Is it okay? Then you come and feed yourself for the week, Trisha." I've never known 7 days to be so long. I think it was £13.50 at the time, some dead money. I never drink so much English tea in my life, but it was the only thing I could afford to stave off the hunger. And my parents still ate. Everybody else, my brother and sister, everybody came and went. And yeah, man, you got to know your child. You have to know how to discipline your child.
Charm said, I would have felt like me do a good job. She go defile herself.
Yeah. What, the daughter or Charm, is that the daughter or the mum?
Yeah, she'll let us know now you've asked
Okay.
that. I didn't know that, Trisha. School have warfare. Yeah, started in Hackney and it's reached South London already, which is it's worrying.
Well,
but no one never gets stabbed or killed, not yet. Right. Davina, evening, Davina. How you doing, Sugar Plum? Remember you get rankings for that. Yeah, they're getting rankings if it's video.
Yeah.
You mostly would get is a Lucasade bottle to the head in my day. The levels are way above that now. But yeah, even a Lucasade bottle to the head's quite it's quite
and Daniel's not talking them plastic ones, he's talking about them big thick, them big them big thick bottom glass ones that we used to have
those plastic
with the
on it.
bumpy. Yeah, man, I mean, man, cook. Yeah.
I always remember the line from the film Friday when the dad said that fighting with fists, you win some. Hang on, let me read it from here because my eyesight's not the best. Remember Friday. The dad said, fighting with fists, you win some, you lose some, but you live to fight another day. And it's true. In my day, it was a proper fight, hand and foot. Now it's life or death. They don't just fight, they fight to kill, and I don't understand how we got here. Yeah, it is very baffling. Jamila is clapping at something, probably something you said. When Daniel says, when you couldn't go on that school trip for being bad, yes? Not always licks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Talk the thing, Daniel. Do you understand? Talk the thing.
Yeah.
There was another time they made me wear my school uniform for a month every day.
Why?
Listen, I always said when I became a parent, my parents needed to open up a parenting academy because, I've lived through some things more than licks that will shame you. But that's exactly the effect it was supposed, and it had it. And yeah, my behavior curtailed 100%.
Your parents dread.
Dread. Okay. Listen, everywhere I went, I remember going to the cinema with my friends, and they're like, "Donna, it's Saturday," and and my dad was like, full school uniform too, blazer, jumper, shirt, and tie.
On a Saturday, he done that.
I told you I had to wear it every day for a month.
Nah, they were cold.
They were cold, and this is the reason why I don't have any shame. This is the reason why I'm so, because I've been through my shame. You're not suffering shame now. I buried mine 30 odd years ago. Listen, my parents were different, Dread. Remember me tell you. Different.
Davina says part of the problem is that parents nowadays want to be friends with their children. I used to say to my two, me and you ain't friend.
There is that, yeah.
You think is that?
You know, me and you no quab. All of those things we were told. I'm not one of your quabs, them. Yeah, you're coming on all of that. Yeah, we were told that. For real.
I hated punishments that weren't licks. I would wish for the licks instead as my pain wears off, but not being able to do whatever it was would burn me more.
Clock it, Sister Davina Claire. Hello. Listen, the licks. My cousins used to be like, yo, you get some punishments, like unheard of punishments.
Yeah, like your parents were dread. I'm not gonna lie.
Dread.
Me and mum would feel so bad because the daughter defile herself and teeth them a breed of money value, says Sham. Dial up 5583 said, I know how we got here. Boy pretending to play man's game, ego and fear. They can't afford retaliation. They can't even afford fair fight. Cowardice, masquerading as toughness. That's why. Yeah, I agree. Daniel's applauding, you know. No Bravado Massive were basically saying that the mum was right to whoop the child. They were like, she leave her alone, the child was wrong and ain't in danger unless there were other factors which show otherwise. And they were like, yep, whoop that child. So there was only a few comments on that one, but the general consensus was whoop that child. But to all the parents out there who are watching, take extra vigilant care of your kids, check in with them, make sure their school's not part of this ops nonsense. Just check in with them, and if you can, be about, and see what their school is actually doing, what measures their school is putting in place.
Put up camera in your house. Put up camera in your house and watch them.
Hang on, Jigger's back. Jigger, you back? Can you hear us?
No, do you know? I was listening to the whole conversation. I didn't realize I was talking and you weren't picking me up, so I thought you wasn't hearing me.
I am
just turned
dead.
over to CarPlay.
No, you weren't there.
I was there. I heard everything. I was listening to the whole thing, and I was like, I was talking, and then nothing was happening. But I don't think I flicked the thing over on my car. I was saying to Tricia, remember the story I told you about that little girl, who tell her she got kidnapped.
Yeah. So what do you think her parents should have done?
The mum was just as
Tell
bad
the
as the
story
daughter.
again, then, so that everyone knows what we're talking about.
So basically, one day I was at work and this girl come in. So she'd gone missing for 2 weeks. So no one knew where she was. So
2 whole weeks.
2 weeks disappeared. No one knew where she was. So they brought her to my clinic to do like STI screening and pregnancy test and rare terrata. So I was talking to the girl. So the girl comes into my room and then she telling me, so I said, where were you? Kidnapped. So I said to her, oh, you got kidnapped? She goes, yeah, I got kidnapped and I was taken to a place in Aldgate, a house in Aldgate, and I was there. So I said, who kidnapped you? She said, a one-legged man.
She's taking the piss.
So I said, what do you mean a one-legged man? Anyway, so yeah, I was coming home from school and this one-legged man kidnapped me and took me back to his house and made me give him sponge baths and thing. So I was like, okay, like, what are you talking about? I said, how one-legged man kidnap you? She goes, oh, he held me and then he got me and he forced me to take him back to his house and he locked me in his house for 2 weeks. So I was like, okay, that's not make no sense. Anyway, so I came out of the room. I saw the mum, and the mum was like, yeah, this has happened, and blah, blah, blah. So I came out and I was talking to my other colleague, and they said, oh, Gary, there's a big case going on with her, like safeguarding case going on with her. So the full story is that she says she's kidnapped, but her and her mum were the week before she was kidnapped. She was looking through her catalogue with her mum, saying she wants to buy this and that, and her mum said no. So when she was kidnapped, her mum's credit card went missing as well, and it was seen in New Cross.
So she was.
It's being used in New Cross. So when she came back from home, all the things her and her mum were talking about, this boots and this jacket she had.
So she wasn't kidnapped. She stole the credit card and went on a shopping spree for 2 weeks with her people there.
With her man. So the police went round to this guy she was seeing at the time, who lived in New Cross. He said to the policeman, "She isn't here. I've told the girl she's trouble. Don't come back to my yard." The police walked around looking in the yard, didn't find her. But she came back and she had this big. And I sat there thinking, this girl's there telling me how she's been kidnapped 2 weeks by a one-legged man. Like, do you think we're all stupid? Literally.
But her mum bought that story.
I don't know if the mum bought the story, but the mum was playing along with the story, because that's the story that they told Social Care. And it's a black family, it's black woman, yeah? Black woman. And I was looking like, do you think I'm an idiot? Like I said to her, I said, you can tell your mum that, but because you're telling me I've got to write this down in my notes, but clearly you're chatting shit.
How did you get away? She said she jumped out the window.
Jumped out the window. I said on a flat. She said it was a what did you say? A bungalow. I said there's no bungalows in Aldgate. I said, how did you, so why did you jump out the window first day? The window was painted shut, and I had to get something to scrape the paint away and climb through the window.
And this is what she's saying, and
you see,
and I can't beat her. Please let me beat her.
It says B. It doesn't say you can't headbutt. You know them old time where you draw them up by the front of their child and doesn't whack them. You know, like that. Like, you know what kind of embarrassing? No.
But
that's a lot.
But the mum come to the clinic with her. So she brought her to the clinic, and the mum was sitting outside the clinic. So when I spoke to the mum at the end of the night, like the mum was like, "Oh yeah," and I remember when I used to do events, a couple times the mum was at the events, and the mum was talking to me like me and her as brethren. I'm like, you can't even look after your child properly. About you're talking about you're kind of semi-flirting with me. Like, how can I have a child with you when your child's running away from your aunt, spending your money, and telling you foolishness about being kidnapped?
But all right, as parents on the screen, how do you manage that? Because kids get to a certain age and they do these things. How would you manage that?
No,
she wouldn't be coming back to my yard. She wouldn't be coming back to my yard.
I'm telling you, Trisha, I'm sorry. Puss and dog now have the same luck. I have 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. And if they came in this room now, what they're going to tell you is their mum is a mad woman. So you see, if you don't want the mad woman to go to the police station, the school, to your friend's mum's house, to your job, it's very, very, incumbent upon you to not provoke the mad woman so that the mad woman shows up. There is no way, like I said, I have been blessed, and I have 3 children. Who? Are you crazy? Then they got their dads to answer to, then the uncles and the aunts. Dion's going to want an explanation. So is Denise. Trisha, you might all come in that. There's too many people in the village. My children they don't want that smoke. So they're not going to do it. You understand? They have an active village. All tongue and teeth might meet. Miss B's going to want to phone them up and say, well, it's too many people that they're accountable to, and that I openly demonstrate that they are accountable to, for them to take up no idiot argument. It's better they ran away. My children would have to run away.
And don't come back.
And don't come back. Because when you come through the door, it's not even licks. It's all the conversations. Listen, one time Omar never come back. He said he went away from the Saturday. It's now Sunday evening. He told me he's coming back the next day, You ask the people in Croydon who I never raised from the dead to find out. I even got the police to find the last location ping of my son's phone. Like, I do not play.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you got all that embarrassment. Now when you come home, I'm forcing you to message all of these people to apologize for your foolishness. You don't want that, so we don't do it.
Yeah, I get it. Gary, how would you have managed it? Say one of your children
Do you know what?
done something like that.
Do you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I can't see either of my children even thinking about doing something like that.
Right.
I'm trying to picture it in my mind. Like, I can't think of. I mean, they're not the same child because they've both got different tolerances and they do different things. But when I think about them, one of them's super compliant. You mean you tell her don't touch something, she ain't touching it. You mean it could be there for 20 years. She's not touching it. And the other one's a bit more like, you know what? I'm not listening to you. I want to do what I want to do. But she's still not dumb enough to think that is the way forward. She'll do silly things like what child things, like tell you about how I'm not, or tell people that she's not doing something or something like that, or she don't want to do it, but for no apparent reason. But I couldn't imagine the children doing that and coming up with them type of conversations. Letting alone teeth in my credit card and then spending the money and coming back with the clothes that you bought, telling me you were kidnapped.
And you're David man.
My question is, if it did happen, how would you manage that? You couldn't imagine it, but if that did happen,
if I had failed as a parent that badly, and the thing about it, no disrespect to anyone, I think their mothers wouldn't even accept that. It would even
right.
Stay. I'll give you a story. When I think back to it, I laugh about it. One of my children, one time, it was Christmas, and they were come to me for Christmas. So the routine was that they came to me Christmas Eve. Christmas morning, I'll drop them back to their mums, and then maybe Boxing Day or that, they will come back to my house, and then spend a couple more days and stuff. So I said, oh, what did you get for Christmas? So the child said to me, oh, I haven't got no Christmas presents. So I said, well, I know I bought you Christmas presents. What did you get? I haven't got any Christmas presents. So I spoke to the mum. The mum said to me, oh, she was naughty, so I didn't let her open the presents. So I was like, all right, cool. So New Year's, so the next Saturday was Christmas and New Year's. So New Year's Day, she's with me. So I'm like, oh, what did you like your presents? She said, I haven't got any presents. So I'm like, what? You ain't got no presents? Like 7 days after Christmas. So she was with me for like a couple of days, and then she went back. And then I went to the yard. I said, oh, do you like your Christmas presents? She said, I haven't got Christmas presents. So I went to her mum, yo. She goes, oh, you know what? I totally forgot. She hasn't opened any of them. So this 2 weeks later, under the tree, just sitting in the tree. Every time the child comes downstairs, she sees the presents, but she can't touch them.
Yeah, so I guess there are many ways other than whooping to really torture your kid, because the tree's still up. Gary,
no, the tree was down, but the present was just sitting there in the corner.
Right,
just sitting there in the corner.
That's cold. Yeah, no, you can't touch them. It's true.
And you're sitting there watching TV in the front room with these presents on it, and you can't touch them. And the mum, I spoke to the mum about it. She goes, "Oh, you know what? I totally forgot." And then she opened them. She got to open the presents.
She's lucky. She's lucky that the mum let her open them. Don't tell me.
She didn't do nothing. No, but she didn't do nothing majorly bad. But the mum wasn't having it.
Yeah, fair enough.
So when I say I can't see it happening, if you're feisty around Christmas time and you don't get to open presents for 2 weeks. Where everyone's riding their bikes around the park and everything, and you're there with no Christmas presents.
Then you can't see her stealing a credit card and running away. I hear that.
I can't see them doing that. I can't see them doing that.
Davina saying she just didn't wake up and decide to thief, run away and lie. She was allowed over the years to play stupidity. So no, that wouldn't have happened in my house, and I guess that's what you lot are saying, because I set boundaries from the dot. Yes, two different characters and personalities, but they both knew that they couldn't cross that line. That's
I think it's definitely. I think as in all relationships, you see red flags from an early age. 3 different children. I've seen what they will test their little personalities from they're young, and
Yeah.
I really did take heed. My mum said, it's cute now when they're 18 months and they refuse to put their toys back in the box. She said, remember, when you're still 5'8" and he's 6'3" and you're asking him to do things, she's like, Donna, crack down now so you don't have to crack down later. And that's basically how I raised my children. It was,
right.
I don't think I was super strict, but they've always known I'm crazy. So, getting them to do things from they're young, I can't tell you the last time I've had to parent in that way, because they know it's the precedent has already been set.
Yeah.
So I have been fortunate, but I feel sorry for this lady. But I'm sure, as I've worked with many parents, once you sit down and talk, as Davina has said, you soon find out that there were lots of incidents happen before that would have led you to conclude that this might have happened, and maybe because action wasn't taken then, you now reap the consequences now. That's often true.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And also you got to remember, and I said to people all the time, you got to remember, your child is the essence of you and your and your household. So if your household is chaotic, your children are going to be chaotic. I don't care what no one said to you.
Yeah.
If your household's full of bare people screaming or whatever, and you let your children go to all these mad people's houses that their families will beat up their mums and all doing all madness with their family, your child's gonna pick up on this stuff. As my mum and my grandmother and my great grandmother always said, show me your friends and I'll show you who you are. Yeah? Take that. So when you're letting your child go to some of these people's houses, don't think they're not picking up mad behavior.
Yeah, that's why my mum never used to sleep out. Where try find your room, go your bed. None of that nonsense, boy. Hand that looks just for the foolishness. I have a lack of patience for foolishness. Then he said licks. Hang on. I'm handing that licks just for foolishness. My patience is real thin. Mine too. Mine too. But you can't just be beating up the kids every minute, though. That's the thing. You can't. Oh, Gary, you're gone again. So just in case you're here for the whole conversation, you're gone. But chime in if you can hear us. I would have to call in the village because their voices would be better than mine in that moment. I'm too wild.
Talk the thing, Jamila. Talk the thing. That's when the aunties, the uncles, that's when they come in. I'm telling you. Because children don't want to listen to their parents' voices. The voice you hear all the time. Don't do this. This is why the expression raising a child in a village is so important. It's not so much when they're young, it's when they're older. You have those other voices, those respected voices that come in and say, come on now. Why are you putting your mum through this? Why are you doing this? Exactly. So, having a support network is such an underrated thing, but it is so needed.
Yeah. Oh, Jigger's gone. Children are products of their environments and displaying good and bad behaviour, says Jamila. But there are some people that, I guess you can't talk for everybody what happens behind closed doors, but there are some households that appear to be stable households and kids just fall into bad company. That happens.
But even so, all right. So again, I'm referring to my work with parents, the child is doing this, doing the most or not doing the most. So on paper, very stable family, but there's something, say, perhaps in the marriage. Children are the most intuitive creatures, apart from animals, on this planet.
Yeah.
You see, when babies cry, what that baby is telling you, there's something about that individual that I don't like, right? The children are innately, they're set up that way. This is how a child, if the mother is suffering, it affects the child, right? And so children read, they're very intuitive. They read situations really, really well. And so it can be a small thing, but it can have the greatest impact. I had a family. I'll tell you this just quickly. I had a family. The son, he was on his second managed move in terms of schools. Jamila will get this because she and I work in the same sector. He was on a second managed move with regards to schools. And, mum and dad work, lovely house, 2 holidays a year, all of this stuff. Turns out dad was cheating and mum was a drunk.
Oh, right.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. In all appearances, Trisha, very nice home, very well kept, very well mannered, all of these things. But actually, there were underlying issues in the parents' marriage that had filtered down to the children. And this is when the behavior had started to change. So
I see.
You cannot escape it. I know people like to say, no, we were brilliant parents. There is always something that happened in that home, in that relationship, that it can be a small chink that is a reason that contributed towards that child.
Yeah.
Fact.
Jamila's saying even in stable and good households there can be issues. Doesn't mean the parenting is bad, but it just means that there's issues. Yeah, so that's basically what you guys are saying. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I don't have children, as you guys know, so it's always good to get parents' perspectives on topics such as this, because I don't know. I often wonder what type of parent I would be, and like Daniel, my patience is very thin for fuckery. I can't. But you can't be clapping down the kids every minute. You just can't. There are other ways, but I guess my mum was strict and she did beat, but not often. She just had to look, and we knew what time it was. So I think I would have been like, even with my godkids and my nieces and nephews anyway, like they're big people now, but when they were younger, I never used to have to do enough now. I never used to be clapping down people's kids. They're not your kids. So I guess I could be managing you'd manage in the same way.
That's discipline. You clapping your hands and saying, right, come on, that is a form of correction. That's all discipline is.
Yeah, stop. And when the voice gets, they stop. Like everybody freezes. So yeah, I think as a parent, if I had kids myself, I probably wouldn't have needed to be clapping them down every minute. Because
anyway, they'd be beautifully intelligent like their mum, so you wouldn't need to do much.
Oh, bless you. Bless you. All right, moving on. Next topic. I wanted to chop this one up with y'all. Hang on. Hang on, let me pause this. There's one thing when you put it to the thing. Right. I am coming. Share screen. All right.
Is a man who is willing to take care of you, the kids, and the household, but has no ambition worse than with.
When you say take care of, what do you mean?
He pays all the bills. He take care of the kids. He step in.
How he do that with no ambition?
No, he got money. I want more.
You know what?
And he's complacent.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the year when the job market is cooked, when the housing market is cooked, when people are walking away from their children, you got somebody at home that is paying your bills. He is taking care of you, and he is taking care of your kids, and you are figuring out, should I leave him? Are you cool?
Unfortunately, for a lot of men,
There are so many women telling them you have to be more ambitious. And it's because they want the ambition to look like what they want it to look like. But his ambition is waking up every day and going to work, waking up every day and showing up for my children, showing up for my home. Like, that's just as ambitious. You know how ambitious you have to be when you are going through depression. Your girl is telling you you need to do more, and then you don't feel like you're good enough, but she don't know the mental and emotional and spiritual battles that you have and how you still trying to show up for your home. That's ambition, baby. Take a moment, read, I think it's 1 Timothy 5:8. Because what it talks about is a man who neglects his home is the same as a man who denies his faith. This man is taking care of his home. There is faith and grace in that. He is being provisional. He's still leading. So we have to acknowledge that, because if not, you're going to lose that. Like, that's a gem, baby.
I make my own money. I make more than him.
Ooh.
Right?
And you said he pays all the bills?
Yeah.
As he should.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you make more money than him, and I want you to know that was not done by mistake. That was a systemic thing that was put into place so that the Black woman can be elevated to start looking at their men like they're not doing enough.
No.
It is very intentional, the fact that you make more money, and even though your man is showing up for you, you start looking at him for like, why can't you do more?
The fact that this man is covering the bills, even though he knows you make more, let me tell you what he's doing. This man is willing to maybe put things on pause so that you can elevate. Think about it. What you make becomes almost just yours. What you choose to do, you have the freedom to pivot and pivot and pivot. Try this, go to school, because this man is saying, I'm going to sacrifice and take care of the foundational things so that you can have a choice whether or not you want to work or not. And so when you saying that man lacked ambition, I just think it's ambition in a direction you can't recognize.
So that was from tonight's conversation. Oh, yeah, that was from tonight's conversation. So I think she's confusing complacency with contentment. I think he's content in his life. He pays all the bills. What's her problem? Do you agree with her, or do you think she should be put in the bin, as Daniel's saying? Oh, Jesus, put her in the bin. The lady got peppered. We should put her in the bin. Or do you think there's something to what she's saying?
I don't think I'm actually qualified to speak on this particular topic, simply because,
Really?
well, simply because I suppose it's who you align yourself with, right? So I agree with what I think, and I don't really like her when I've seen her clips before, but I agree with maybe for him, what is his ambition? These are the things that you have to establish, right? What is his ambition? Maybe it is his ambition to have a whole family, to keep them, to provide for them. Maybe that's his ambition, and he's reached, he's accomplished by her own admission. He is providing for the family, but she wants more, and then you have to, I think she has to look at that. What does she want? What does she want to do? Can he hold the family down whilst, as it was said, she pivots and does that thing? Is the relationship capable? Does it have the capacity to hold all of that for somebody to kind of veer off and do something for themselves? That's the question. And that was I'm really proud of myself because I've given a really balanced,
measured,
non-Black feminist perspective. Yeah, I'm well done. Can people clap for me in the comments, please? Woohoo! Thank you. Yeah, I think, it could never be me, but yeah, I think she's got to think long and hard. What does ambition look like for them, for her, for him?
So when you say it could never be you, even though he's paying all the bills and looking after the family, what's missing there?
I don't think for them anything is missing. I think that's, some women like that. Some women, and there's nothing wrong with it, Trisha.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jamila. Yeah, I think a lot of women probably hear that and think, well, that's what I want, a man that provides, pays all the bills, and that may be enough for them, and that's fine.
But for her, it's not.
But for her,
All right.
it's But I
It's
couldn't.
not,
Yeah,
right.
I
Okay.
couldn't.
All right. So let's share the screen and see what No Bravado Massive said. So Daniel said, "You see, some women now look at the accountability at the end. Wanty can't get it, no wanty. I hope her man saw this since she doesn't appreciate his efforts." Charlene said, "I wouldn't be happy if I was her husband. This is why some men have a hard time trusting women and getting into relationships because of women who don't see the good in them and feel like they're never enough," I guess is what she's saying. What she is doing with her money to help, what is she doing with her money to help the family? Has she asked her husband about how he feels emotionally? Does he have things that he would like to achieve in life? He's helped you to elevate. How about you try and elevate him? Dion said, she sounds bored. Yes, he's a provider, good husband, father, but it sounds like it sounds like she's a go-getter and he isn't. She wants someone hungry for more, e.g. ambitious, and he seems happy to maintain the status quo. Maybe they're on different wavelengths mentally too. Yes, she comes across as ungrateful, but we're not all privy to the real ins and outs of their relationship. I like that Dion just stands on her own opinion, irregardless of what
I
everybody
love
else.
her for it,
Yeah,
100%.
she business. She'll just say what she's saying, and the whole group could be saying something different, and she don't business. Charlene says this is why it's so important to have these deep conversations. No, we don't know anything about him. I do feel some women get with men like who she is with because she's looking for stability, and also the fact that he may not go out. To me, she came across ungrateful, mentioning that you earn more and you're still not satisfied with what he does. I need to know why she was initially attracted to him.
I think I personally feel that relationships have been represented and proposed en masse as this one thing. Like, in relationships, people are supposed to grow and develop individually and together. So, you might have met on a bus, but that doesn't mean that nobody within the relationship learns to drive and you go on and do different things. My point is that maybe which happens often, and it's always very interesting to me to see how women, we have a lot of conditioned women who are conditioned to jump to the man's defense and not necessarily present a balanced perspective. Now, it may well be the case, as has been my experience, that the woman outgrows the man in the relationship, right? Now, it's fine normally. Everybody likes the story of the man who outgrew the woman, and she suddenly was this, she was this dumb woman for 25 years and, never did anything. But when it's the woman that outgrows the man, society doesn't like that. You're often told to settle, as has happened on that show and in these comments. Well, you should be grateful because he took you up. No. Relationships are not fluid things, but people change. Years change you. Different experiences, collective and individual, change you. So what I would suggest is that they review, like, where are we? That's what I said. What is his definition of ambition? What is hers? What is theirs together? But I always look at no Bravado post and think, flipping heck, the patriarchy doesn't have to put an advert in this group, because women are very quick in the group to jump. Well, she's ungrateful. She's this. No. Equally, it can be that she just outgrew him. And so what he has to offer no longer serves her. What is she supposed to do? Sit down there for all these years whilst her maybe it's her intellectual needs. When we talk about spiritual and physical, what about intellectual needs? You might have started off in the same place. And we know that this is true because often men in relationships will use things like pregnancy and all sorts of things to trap women, to keep them in one position. Why? Because they don't want them to outgrow them intellectually. That they see as a threat. So I kind of see this from a completely different perspective. Like I said, I like to give a balanced view, but I think sometimes as women, we need to reflect, where's this opinion coming from? Why am I so quick to agree that she's ungrateful? She may simply have outgrown him. intellectually and needs more.
Needs a little bit more. So Dion and Charlene go a little back and forth a bit. Verona in the comments, in live comments, is saying that they need to talk. I agree. And I'm saying to Dion, I love that you stand on your own opinion. Kev B says that's black women all over. 80% of them think like that and would cheat every day if that was the position.
Okay, Kev, go to therapy, yeah? Okay.
Natalie would be cussing if she was here. Her and Kev B always go back and forth because he just says wild shit like this all the time. Kev B, 80%, says Dion, is a high percentage laughing out loud. You really believe that there aren't women, period, who think the same? I said, as a black woman, I respectfully disagree with this comment. Broad statements like this, like that's black women all over, and 80% of us think like that, aren't backed by facts, and they don't help the invisible bridge between us. There's no credible research showing that 80% of black women cheat daily. What research does show is that relationship insecurity is often linked to past betrayal, attachment style, and personal experience, not race. Generalizing an entire group of women based on frustration or personal experience shifts the focus away from the real issue, individual behavior and relationship dynamics. If we want a mature dialogue, we have to move away from the stereotypes and talk about accountability, expectations, communication, and compatibility, not race. I think us black women, we get a really hard time, and from our own men a lot of the time as well. It's wild. Let's debate the scenario, not label a whole demographic. It pissed me off, as you can see.
And you shot him down so eloquently, as always, my darling.
Like, just shut up. I'm much better in writing than I am. When I get angry, I'm not as eloquent, but when I'm writing, I can think about what it is that I'm saying. So my favorite communication style is writing. Shirley Heights said she's ungrateful. I think Charlene would have agreed. Daniel said yep, she was not apologetic for how she feels despite all he does. Carlton said she's useless. Rodney said she's already got someone ready to take his spot. She wants him to still do what he is doing, but be with another dude. She's justifying her actions and her next decision. Some people always looking for greener grass. My mother used to always say, what sweet you will run your belly or will run your ass.
Okay.
Junior Bogle said, a whatless, ambitionless woman. She sounds like a prized plum and a bad advertisement for sisters. I couldn't watch more than a few seconds and heard all I need to know and hear. Mecca Gwanga drink water. Woman Gwanga sit down and know how to be gratefully contented. Or better still, go and find yourself some ambition and pay your own bills. Franco said she's an absolute CUNT. Deb Aura said she's ungrateful and disrespectful. No, we don't know the real situation behind her reasoning, but never put someone down to make yourself appear better. Horrible human. I said, I think there's two conversations happening here. On one hand, if the man is paying the bills, present with his children and emotionally available, that shouldn't be dismissed lightly. Stability and consistency are forms of ambition too, and her not seeing this is what's making her look ungrateful. On the other hand, it's valid for someone to desire growth, vision, and forward movement. Some people are content with peace and routine. Others are wired for progression and expansion. The key question is this. Is he truly lacking ambition, or is she confusing contentment with complacency because their internal drives don't match? Ambition looks different to different people. For some, it's financial. It is. I've been in this situation where I was just like, I can't do it. I can't. Ambition looks different to different people. For some, it's financial empire building. For some, it's creating a peaceful home and being present. If their values don't align, that's incompatibility, not necessarily ungratefulness. Before labeling her selfish or him lazy, the real issue might simply be this. They may want different futures, as Dion said. And that's right. And that's a compatibility conversation, not moral failure on either side. So that was my opinion.
I couldn't agree with that more. And I wish more people use critical thinking in the way that you have to say, look, There's nothing wrong with it. This often happens, not relationships. You know, the thing is, we've used the relationships of the past as a template for how the relationships of the future should be. And that is wrong. We know people suffered in some of those long 50, 60-year relationships. You know, at the end, when everybody's old, everybody thinks it's sweet. But women predominantly suffered in those relationships. So I think, you know, the idea of it will always be this way is actually doing relationships a disservice, because you're supposed to grow. Ultimately, you're supposed to grow together. But that might not always be the case. And so you have to always kind of fact check, what does ambition look for you like now, this year? So what does that look like for you this year? What goals do you have? These are my goals. Are any of them, can we combine them? Can we be collaborative on it? That's the conversation you have to have during the relationship all the time.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for me, I don't want to say too much because I know he still follows my page and watches stuff. So I don't want to put him on blast too much. But for me, I just felt like he was too complacent with things the way that they were, and was just ready to do. There was no growth. Ready to write off your credit for stupid little debts. So our mindsets are not on this, because if you're, you know what I mean, like, you got to, it can't be for silly debts. It can't be. You're not going to write off your credit for, so no house is going to buy then. If you, do you understand what I'm saying? So it was these kind of things that ultimately led me to be saying, I don't think this is going to work out for me. You know, because complacency, if you're comfortable, you can become complacent. But if you want to grow, then you shouldn't be. And I'm always a person who wants to level up. So for me, I guess I need a character beside me that wants to level up as well. Because what ends up happening as well is they're complacent, you level up, you want to level up, they then become resentful and accuse you of a whole host of things. You're
Well, as
masculine.
you saw Kev B and others, exactly. She's ungrateful. It's disrespectful. She's got someone waiting in the wings. This is what I'm talking about. This is the conditioning that says, because you want ambition, and it's because you know you're a black led forum. This is a very, you know, this is the crabs in the barrel. Like you can be laying down with your biggest hater. Can I just say this for the one time? You can be laying down with your biggest hater, and Lord knows I know what I'm talking about. You know, people don't all just because you give them crutches, no means to them cheer for you. So again, it's looking at, you can have children for people that don't feel, that resent you, resent your success, resent who you are, your presence, the value that you bring, because they don't have those things. And maybe in the beginning you both started off and nobody had them, but you've grown and you've acquired them and now you have them at your disposal and they resent that. I think, you know, we've got to talk about, again, I got to my point about regularly reviewing your relationship, and not, because you're right, resentment, then you start looking at him like he's baggage, then he can't do nothing, and it just goes down that slippery slope which does lead to disrespect, right? And I think to prevent all of that, let's just talk about growth. What are we going to do this year? What are you doing? What am I doing? What can we do together? Can our projects combine? That's what I think. But I've just everybody that knows me knows I've just said a whole heap of rubbish. Come me now combine not one thing with one man. So yeah.
I do. I think like last week we was the crew was talking and Natalie said something interesting and she was just like, I just don't think how society is moving now. It's not built for marriage and combined in stuff, and it's moved way past that now where everyone's just kind of doing their own.
But we can get together for knacking, but we can't. There's no, I am not sharing my network. I just do not trust.
Yeah. And then I hear that. And there are a lot of men out there now that are I've got family members who are going through divorces now and husband wants to take half their shit. it's not just women taking
It's
men's
not.
stuff.
No. It's men. Meet you with your little piece of house. I have it in my own family. My friend, she had her twins. She bought her. Back in the day, she bought a 3-bedroom flat there up in Norwood. Yeah. He comes along. Oh, they go and buy a big house somewhere else. He never paid their mortgage. Neither did he ever contribute to the mortgage. There is no paperwork that says he contributed to the mortgage. When the end of the marriage, he wants half. He had to settle with 15 grand, brother. Because you come and meet people with their things and you think because it's marriage, you're going to come and take people's things. No, sit down. So it happens for both. And equally, we could find stories where women have tried to do the same thing to men and men have said, no, you met me with these things. So we have to be fair. I just think relationships right now, I think we need to work on ourselves. And this is when I talk about decentering men, decentering women. I think a lot of work has to be done because what do we have to offer? Really and truly. I think that's a conversation that one can only have with oneself. What are you bringing to this relationship? What do you have to offer? This particular scenario, obviously, he was a provider. He provided for her and the children. But what you have to offer changes over time, no?
Yeah.
What you have to offer when you're young is not what you have to offer when the children are transitioning into secondary school. Will not be what you have to offer when the children are fully grown. So if that's just a tracking journey of the family, won't things change in between? Or do we expect people to settle and stay the same? And I think that's a very reductive argument.
Yeah, I agree. All right. They've gone quiet in the comments, live comments, but
They have, haven't they?
I guess they don't agree with us.
Where's the one Daniel? I was expecting Daniel to come out and say something like, nah, man, and whatever. So I was looking for some pushback.
But yeah, no. I agree. Because I do think sometimes you can just outgrow, and that's okay. All right. This I'm not sure. Should I do? There was one. There's you choose the next topic. We might have a chance to do both. I chose this one. Everyone profits in our neighborhoods. Everyone hires their own. Everyone builds generational wealth except us. I chose that for the comments because some of the comments I was reading today, I was like, oh, wow. And then there's another one. Is it possible to love your spouse without liking them? Which one do you want to do?
Can we do both?
All right, let's try and do both. All right.
I mean, I'm not going anywhere. I don't know if your listeners have anywhere to go, but I'm not going anywhere. So I like both.
Let's go for both then. All right. So is it possible to love your spouse without liking them? Let me show the screen. What do you think in the comments, guys? Let us know. Is it possible to love your spouse?
Talk to us. You've gone all quiet. Where's Daniel, Davina, and Jamila? Where them gone? They must have run there, brush them teeth.
Where you there? This is the charm. What are you saying?
Yeah, where's Shah? Come on.
So, is it possible to love your spouse without liking them? What say you first before we go into the comments?
Of course.
How is that possible?
You can love someone, you know. Or as if Yvonne was here, you can have love for that person. So it's not that you love them, you have love for them. And not necessarily like them. The fact that they're a spouse is a little concerning because that means that you're in close proximity to them. But I think this happens more towards the tail end of relationships. Oh, you're back, Daniel. You're so look.
Just look. He doesn't agree with what we're saying. That's why. Carl says, I like Carl Perkins. I don't always agree with what he has to say, but I like his stance and I like that he's firm in his stance. And yeah, man, welcome. How you doing, Carl? Do you know Carl personally? No, I don't.
He paid back. He paid the money that he owed me, so we're good now.
You don't know me. I don't know him personally, but I find
No, I don't.
he's very staunch in his opinion. And like I said, I don't always agree, but I just love the way he puts
We
his
love
stuff.
opinionated people. I love somebody that can back their talk. I do like that.
An intelligent, opinionated person as well. So welcome, Carl. Nice to see you. Carl says it's impossible to love someone and not like them.
Okay.
Say more, Carl. Why'd you say that? I have family members I love, but I don't like, so I think it can be possible. I'm good, Queens, he says. Good to hear it.
That's good.
So tell me more. Why do we, because if I don't like you, I suppose it's like I got love for you, but I don't like you, so.
I have a whole children's father that I have love for, but I don't like. And whilst we're not in a relationship, I mean, this is a spousal relationship.
He's your children's father?
Yeah, and I remember, and sometimes I have to remind myself of the good. But do I like? No. And I I base my comment on again, my body of work. And it happens often. You'll be surprised what people get into siege mentality where they're in a house, with a spouse. And there's love, like they wouldn't like to hear that anything bad happens to them, but they don't like them. This is not their person. And I believe that this can be, in my experience, it's normally the beginning of the end. It's the wind down, but it does happen more often than people would probably want to think, because everyone likes to think that, all relationships all the time are vibrant and energetic and we're in love and we like. No. There can be things about your spouse that you don't like, but you love them or you have love for them.
Right. I get that. Daniel says that's a third thing, aka part-time lover H-Town. How you marry someone but don't love them.
But again, Daniel, I draw your attention to the fact that you're talking about the beginning of the relationship. You're quite right. In the beginning, everything should be popping off. But relationships, like everything else, have a life. And in my experience, professionally and personally, you get to this siege mentality of I love, but I don't particularly like after time. And it's how do you work on that? I think in a spousal relationship, how do you get past that? Because if you cling to not liking them, that will soon turn into all sorts of things. So yeah, I think we again, I'm just encouraging the audience to think of relationships as a whole thing and not just the bits that we like, which is the beginning. When you've been in a relationship for a long time, years, say over a decade, there will be things that you don't like about your spouse. No, you're not going to get up and divorce them for it, but there will be things that you don't like, even though you love them.
Yeah, but there's things that you don't like about them that's in segments. But to not like them as a person, can you not like somebody? Like, I just don't like, full stop. And because I get to the point, I don't know, maybe me different then, because if I get to a point where I don't like, I'm not liking you, the love, I had a relationship where I didn't like him and I didn't love him, and because I just didn't like how he behaved, man. So that love just dried up, boy, and he was
100%. I didn't say. Listen to us. I didn't say that it stays the same. But there are people, I have met them, who do not like their partner but are still married and have a certain type of love for them. But it's not the vibrant, I'm in love, I can't live without you. No, you're right. If I like you, well, I don't even, if I don't like you, it's a lot of things. But I'm just saying, it is possible. I've heard it. I've seen it.
Carl is saying, I say that because when someone is a spouse and not a family, you have no ties to them. I honestly wouldn't give two craps if she is dead.
Go on, Carl.
Whereas my baby mother is a good friend who is currently staying with me for the school half term. We are great friends. I love her as a friend and the mother of my son because she's likable. Okay, I get that.
And well done, sir, for presenting a different family dynamic.
Right. Sham says, it's completely possible to love someone but struggle with certain traits of behavior, and that can be especially true when one or both partners are neurodivergent.
But who's taken up with neurodivergent partners?
I think everybody's kind of on the spectrum lately. That's the new kind of thing.
This is why we're not out. We're not out here. No, we're not doing that.
No, but neurodivergent doesn't mean. Donna, you know.
I know. I'm being Donna. I'm being Donna. Yes. Yeah. Because if he can't tell the time and you don't know any numbers, like it's a hot mess.
But that's not what neurodiversion.
No,
wait. You're out of order. You are.
I've been well behaved for an hour and 35 minutes. You lot have got to give me at least 2 minutes where I can just be my authentic self.
Yeah, Carl said we're all on the spectrum. We all have issues. Yeah, I've been told that there's a possibility that I'm ADHD. I should take the test and get it firmed up. And I said it to somebody else, and they were like, "Oh, they're saying everyone's ADHD now at the moment." So
they might look friend. They might look little following. Not you.
But it's just spectrum just looks different. It presents differently for everybody, I suppose. But back to the topic at hand. I don't know. I've never been able to experience loving someone and disliking them. I've loved someone, started to dislike them, and as the dislike has grown, I fall out of love. And like Carl, couldn't give two craps if they're dead or alive in the business.
But we're talking about all right. So you're talking about a non-platonic relationship, right?
No, I'm talking about non-platonic relationship. Yeah,
right. Yeah. So that's akin to this spousal arrangement. I think it's possible. I don't want to say too much, but I've seen it. Right. I'll go even so far as to say that I lived it.
Right.
But circumstances meant that the surviving spouse was able to say once the other spouse was dead, I really never. There were so many things I didn't like, but because I couldn't leave, I loved them, and a lot of that love was for the good things that they had done and whatever. But I didn't really like them. So yeah.
Gold medal for Donna for not badding me up.
Never. Well, that's a lie. I've just lied on myself. Just lied, Daniel. Sorry.
They'll probably bad you up by the end of the show. Just wait for it. But yeah, I think for me, I've got male friends, and I grew up around, like, I had 3 older brothers, and you listen to Mel speak. And I always used to hear Mel say, "Oh, she's insecure, man. It's just annoying. It's annoying." And I never got it until I dated an insecure man. And I just didn't like his behavior, and it just got worse. And the worse it got, the more I just liked him, and that love just dried up. But I take your point. Let's see what Bravado Massive had to say.
Oh, this should be interesting.
Share the screen, see what they had to say, because they are funny. They are a funny bunch. Let's see what they said. Oh, there was only 3 comments on here. Dion said yes. T Smooth said absolutely. Love is unconditional, while liking is enjoying. See, I'm not sure about this unconditional love thing. I think it's a setup. Hi, Andrew said, T Smooth, unconditional love is for kids. All adults' relationships come with conditions. I agree.
Even relationships with children come with conditions. I will love you as long as you keep your room tidy and you don't backchat me. Every relationship on the face of this earth comes with conditions.
Right. Yeah.
So unconditional love is a myth. We need to just put that out there.
Throw it out, yeah. Because it just does it sets us up.
It's a patriarchal term that was used to infantilize females, unconditional love for their man, because it was this, this pure love. It doesn't matter what you did. Don't you have unconditional love for me? No matter what they did, you were supposed to have this unconditional love. No conditions. Right. I can do anything I want to you. So we need to we have to go to the origins of some of these things, and we're throwing it out.
Yeah, it's true. I remember when I was young. Hang on, we can only have unconditional love for blood relatives. I don't even think unconditional love for them.
Sorry, Carl. All of my relationships come with conditions.
No, some of my blood relatives I don't mess with because they're rude and rank and bright. So, yeah. And they're blood relatives.
Let me not.
Terry Williams is saying yes, but pets get unconditional loves.
Well, not if you shit up and piss up my floor. No.
Some of them get thrown out in the garden.
Then come on.
Someone married for many years said she was married to a narcissist and she never said it with a smile. So I don't know if she like or love the brother.
100%. I tell you, we find it a lot, right, Trisha? I would say that our generation is the we are now rooted in whether we want a relationship or not, right? If you speak to, as I've had the honor many times, you speak to older women or people that have been married, from the previous generations, you will find a lot more yeses than you will find nos. Because people stayed and they developed this kind of, I don't even know if it's love, but it was a dependency. Yeah, that was rooted in marriage and these children that they'd had. If you ask them if they ever liked the person, after they'd be like, not really. People, got together for all sorts of reasons, predominantly women who needed, if you talk about the Windrush generation that needed protection, maybe they'd come over from the islands with that person. Some people married for necessity.
Yeah.
So again, it's not just this one thing. I met a guy and he's lovely and we get it. No, some people got into relationships for necessity with people that they didn't like, but at the time that person provided what they needed, and they stayed because remember, at that time to leave, it would have looked bad. People are going to judge you. You don't be a single mother. All of these things we now, I'm a single mom a co-parent of 3 children. There was no shame in any of that. But for the generations previous, I think you'd find a lot more yeses if you were to ask, did you like them and did you love them?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I've got a family member that can't stand her husband. It's hilarious. And I just think, why are you still there? I just don't understand why they stayed together for all these years, because they don't like each other. But I don't think there's any love there either.
Nope. I can categorically, my grandmother did not like my grandfather at all. And she did not like him. She came here. She came here under the auspices. My mother was illegitimate. We're talking early 1950s. My mom's illegitimate. She comes here. She's already been kicked out by her Anglo-Indian family in Guyana because she's gone and had a child for a black man. So it wasn't just bad enough that it was outside of wedlock. He was black. So, she comes over here and she basically takes up the first little somebody that says, I can offer you. She didn't like him. They weren't even intellectually compatible.
Right.
So I'm talking about as a small child, we worked out very quickly. This one doesn't like this one, and this one can't do anything about it because he couldn't do anything for himself. So he was left in this marriage with a wife that didn't like him, constantly undermined him, and they stayed in the marriage until she passed away. There you go. It's a prime example. So it is possible to not like someone and still have I don't even call it love. I think this dependency, this affiliation, because you're used to them. You're used to him. You know what I mean?
That's my point. That's my point. A love for, or I don't think you can dislike someone and love them at the same time. I just don't. I think that it's exactly what you're saying. Is it a love or is it dependency, or they're used to him, or...
But what does love really mean? Now we're getting deep. What does love actually mean? Because what love will mean to me will be different to you, despite us being very similar. Our needs and wants will be, like, our intrinsic needs and wants will be different because we're two different human beings. So now we start to talk about what love will look like for Daniel, say, or Davina, or Jamila, or even Carl. We will have 7 different, perspective on what love is. Love is not just this thing. It means different things to different people.
True. What does it mean to you?
Love means inappropriate jokes, and love means laughter and friendship, and just, consistently, a person that consistently shows up in your life. I love people for those things. I don't think as a person I need much from other people, but I like consistency. I like laughter. I like a full fridge. I like Marks and Spencer's biscuits, but not. They're those are the things that I need. I don't need you to carry me emotionally. I don't think you definitely couldn't carry me intellectually, and so love for me means those. I have, do you know what I mean? But I recently in conversation, Yvonne, my friend Yvonne, said, "Is it love, Donna, or is it do you have love for?" And that's really got me thinking. Do I have this emotional tie to this person for all of this good stuff? Or is it that what is love? How do we define love?
How do we define it?
I think that's a conversation for another time, but that's like where I am. So because love will mean different things to different people. Some people like foot rubs and time and attention and phone calls. All that. You call me in the day, I'm gonna cut your neck off. I don't need you to disturb me while I got things doing. So to me, it means different things to different people.
Yeah. Terry Williams 441 is saying conditions are based on reciprocation. Yeah, I agree.
We like that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. What does love mean to me? Respect, loyalty, laughter, communication. The word dependency is coming up, but I want to be able to depend on you, but I think that falls under the loyalty banner, and I want you to be able
consistently showing up for you. That will cover that. Yeah,
consistency, and I consistently show up for you.
That's right.
Growth, protection, stability, understanding. All of those things make up love for me. That's what I think I can give and what I would like to receive.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's different for everyone.
Different for everyone. Yeah.
It is.
Interesting conversation. All right. Last topic. Let's see. Let's go to. This was a conversation that we have often in Black Excellence and No Bravado. And we'll continue to have the conversation because it's relevant. But this isn't hate, this is economics. Until we own, circulate, and protect our own pound, dollars, the cycle stays the same. But what is stopping us, everyone? So the caption says, everyone profits in our neighborhoods, everyone hires their own, everyone builds generational wealth, except us. Why? Is that you or me?
That's my son chatting loudly to his girlfriend on the phone. I do apologize.
Oh, right. No worries. Yeah. So Do you think there's been a shift with this? Because there are a lot of Black-owned stuff popping up where we do seem to be kind of pulling together. We do our own Black Excellence events, and it's all about economics. And I do think the message is spreading and it is getting better. But do you think there's been a shift, or do you think I think we've got a long way to go, personally. But what's your thoughts around it now, here and now?
I think we've got a long way to go, but I also want to give us grace. We have to understand that other communities have been, I don't want to say smarter, but have perhaps been in the position and have closer proximity to understand business in a different way. And they've come to this country and duplicated it. Now, the benefit of having a community that sticks together is you will have that tight economics, right? You will have employment within that. You will have, I will buy from your shop and you will only buy from my shop. This is how other communities have managed to and sustain their businesses. Where we have gone wrong is we constantly wed ourselves to consuming from these particular businesses. Yeah. And so there are Black business, I'm not going to mention her name because she's not on here, but there was a certain young lady that I think the back end of last year made a provocative statement on social media about patronizing and not patronizing certain communities. And I think although her delivery was not the best, I totally understood what she was.
Exactly.
Yeah, I totally understood where she was coming from. And very quickly before Christmas, everybody was able to put in butchers and hair places, all the things that are for us that were Black owned. So actually we're not as far behind as we think we are. I think people would put out these provocative statements perhaps don't often do their research. I know there are Black app builders. We've had the Caribbean Credit Union from 1961 operate as a banking system still here in Croydon. So, you just simply have to look around, do your research to find out that there are Black businesses that have been going for, for tens of years. And I think it's about doing the homework, because everything might not be in the town where you live, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. People are buying meat. I saw in the comments, people are like, oh, I live near you. Yeah, I'll come and get you. Let's drive up to so-and-so and let's go to this wholesalers in wherever and let's get everything. So yes, because of the diaspora, things might be spread out, but most things can be ordered online, as we know. And I just think when people put out these statements, you have to remember, we haven't had the head start that some other people have had. Yeah. People that came from Africa, well, not Africa, people that came from the Caribbean were the class that left the Caribbean during the Windrush generation, weren't your intellectuals, weren't your business owners for the most part. They weren't. They were people who came here for a better life because back home was shit. So you're not going to make up that ground even in your first two family generations necessarily. Other people came here. I mean, the Ugandans that came here after Idi Amin kicked them out, they came here with their gold. They came here with the business acumen that they already had. A lot of people that came over from in our generation, they were literally itinerant farmers. If there was a job title, that's what they would have been. They were scratching out a living. So I think we have to give ourselves grace and not compare and contrast. We are where we are. Yes, we have more Black entrepreneurs than ever before. You don't have to frequent and patronize certain communities. You can make the effort to shop in different places. There are Black-owned hair shops, beauty shops, spas, you name it. It's Black-owned. But you've got to make the effort to find them. And I think that particular statement, whilst it evokes, oh yeah, they're doing better than us, think about our starting point and think about theirs. It's completely different. The energy we spend comparing is energy that could be spent within our community, building, using the resources we have. Yes.
Yeah. Daniel's saying we don't have enough unity and trust. We have this wanted to be boss mentality rather than teaming up and helping one another. I think two things can be true at the same time. I agree.
Yeah. And also when people are, it's funny because I've taken this conversation right inside the halal butchers. Go, you know me not afraid for talk. And one of the things that they were very eager, and if Annie's watching this, she was with me, that they were quick to weaponize in the conversation was the fact that because they have access to chains, and so on paper they can act as a chain, their products will always be cheaper than ours because, do you understand? So say the same earrings, say if there was a like for like, right, but there was a chain, the earrings and the jewelry I might buy from you are going to be more expensive because you're not a chain yet. And so it's reflected in your pricing. You can't always hand that down to your customers, right? Because you're incurring a lot of initial costs yourself. Now, if you understand that, you still hang in with that particular vendor because by you patronizing them, that's how you build the community. That's how now Trisha's able to become a chain. So rather than saying, I can get those earrings on Amazon for £5 cheaper, if you're really intent on building in the community, then you buy from Trisha regardless because you know that's building her up. And that will help her when you have your business. She will also patronize you. And this is, people are very shallow in their thinking, I feel sometimes. And so because it's a long haul and we've developed this very now attitude, people are not in it for the long haul. And it's a shame. And until we change some of that, we will consistently, be on the back foot, so to speak, because things take time. And no, Trisha can't give me the cheapest price right now because she's not a chain. And so she incurs huge costs and she tries to pass down the cheapest possible price she can so that she can either break even or make a little bit of a profit. And it's about appreciating it. And what it shows to me actually is that a lot of us are not into business, because if we were, we would understand the pressures of solo trading. And so we would have more consideration for the businesses that we do have.
That we do. Daniel's saying we like too much convenience rather than looking up information.
100%.
Yeah. Blacks still shopping in hair shop that beat up black girls in the hair shop in Peckham. Convenience.
Come on.
Yeah,
Listen,
I agree.
I've told this story before. I'll tell it again. Clem, who used to own, oh my goodness, we had granaries. I don't even remember. Ezekiel's, his son opened up a black butcher's right there in Surrey Street. And we had family members that worked in there. Now, this meat was cleaned and seasoned and then packed. And he did it because he was saying, you got a lot of mothers who were not from our community who didn't know how to season and prepare certain meats. And they'd even gone through the trouble, Trisha, of writing how you could cook this meat.
Wow.
So there was nothing. All you had to do is basically put it in a pot. You understand? And add water. Anyway, this one morning, I'll never forget, Black Butchers. I didn't buy from there because his portions were like 4 chicken quarters. I need a box of chicken in my house. You understand? So
yeah.
But I understood, and I was fully in favor, and I would always promote and talk about the butchers. This one morning, I get to Surrey Street, and I'm parking up, and I saw all the old aunties going to the Asian shop and not going to the black butchers. So I said, Auntie, just out of interest, why are you not going to the black butchers and you're coming down to the halal shop? And they said because the halal butcher had given them £5 off of whatever it is they was buying.
Right.
And that is equally part of the problem. Not understanding that to support something is to support it regardless until it gets to where it needs to be. And then that support will be reciprocated through other pathways. That is how you build. That is how they did it. If you ask them, if you take the time to ask them, that's exactly what they did. And also, they don't have to like each other. When I was campaigning to be an MP, I went, because part of the demographic I had to campaign were from the South Asian community. And one of the questions I would often ask is, do you not get on? And they'd be like, no. But one thing that they have that we don't have is the understanding that win, lose or draw, it is us first.
Yeah.
Win, lose or draw, it is us first. We have too many chiefs and not enough cooks. God, this one gonna said this. Now this one gonna said this. This one gonna said she can't speak for me. Look at she. We have too much dissension. Right. I'm hoping that will change over time. But yeah, they realize they have one mantra: win, lose or draw, it is us.
It's we. Yeah. I hear that. All right, let's see what the because it's 10 o'clock, so we're supposed to finish at 10. So we will no worries. We will since I you know what I mean because I want you to be here regularly. I don't want to take the time, go over the time too much, you know. But let's read the comments before we wrap up and see what No Bravado Massive had to say. What they think the problem still is. Share screen, share screen. Jennifer Ross said, "We are divided people, divided by land, wealth, shade, etc. They did a good job that we now do to ourselves by ourselves." So this John Wright was causing havoc in the thing. I said to them, "Look, the next time tag me," but he offended some people, but I think he's white. But he said, doesn't they did a good job? So Natty says, doesn't they did a good job hands permanent power to the past?
Good point, Natty.
John Wright said, Jennifer Ross, you had 10,000 years. You divided yourselves before the white men walked the planet. No one did a good job on you. You did it on yourselves, driven by jealousy, greed, and immature short-term mindset.
Okay. Which black girl turned him down?
It sounds like he's in a black family. That's the joke. When we read it all, it's very interesting. Because I was like, is he being racist or is he just saying what he's saying? And then he turns around and says, my in-laws like me as well. So it sounds like he's in a black family. But he's married to a black woman, it sounds like. So Jennifer Ross says, John Wright, so you're clearly very limited mental capacity, so you feel no part was played over 400 years of slavery, followed by years and years of blatant oppression. That's very interesting. Even now, with all you can see that goes on in the world today, you feel people of colour did it all to themselves. Liam Doyle says, right, I didn't even see this. I'm reading this now in real time with you guys. Pretty much every race has been a slave at some point. Don't see them using it as an excuse. Okay, Liam. Lord. Oh, you lot need to tag me when these things are going on. John Wright says, Jennifer, well, you certainly divided yourselves into tribes, mistrustful of each other before Whitey showed up, and that's why it was easy for relatively a few Europeans to exploit the division and govern millions of people whose only thing in common was skin tone. But if you ever get over to most any African country or environment, even in the UK, where there is a majority black presence, an example of this could be black immigration law firm or any office in local authority, you still see that as tribal and surnames and surname divisions are still in place, as is the difference in biases between West Indian islands.
Okay.
As for limited mental capacity, maybe you need to be honest enough to expand your limited awareness yourself and attempt to be objective, not subjective. You see, for me, as a white man looking in, maybe I spot it better than you, or maybe I'm just being more honest than you. Either way, there's no denying my first comment. You had 10,000 years. You divided yourselves before white men ever walked the planet. No one did a job on you. You did it to yourself, driven by jealousy, greed, and immature short-term mindset. If you're not even aware or honest enough to admit this fact, why should I care what other excuse you come up with? The UK never had 400 years of slavery of black people. We barely had 100 years before it was banned. Oh, just 100 years. Wow. This is what Samantha was talking about. I didn't see all of this. Years before we banned it was being unkind and wrong across all British governed lands. As for people of colour, make up your mind, love. 1 minute you didn't like the name coloured folks, you just wanted to be called black. Now you're people of colour, using one drop nonsense plus false beliefs that Latino, Hispanics and Indian and Asians are all the same gang. News for you. They all have their own religious tribal divisions and issues, and never in their hearts you see you black people as part of your little cliques. Truth is that UK have brought in various laws, acts, best practice, and protected characteristics for employment and other situations specifically for non-white people, and yet here you are whining. Whew. Wow. Okay. Because let me explain something. We have days, so the No Bravado split up because not one person can manage this group. So we all have our days. But guys, if you see things like this, tag me in it because I sometimes take a social media break. I've got caring responsibilities for my mum. I've got other things doing, so I don't sit and read all of the comments. But tag me in some of these things so I can chime in and block. But this is upsetting, but do you think he has some points in there or nah, just bullshit?
I think he's doing what a lot of white people do. He is explaining to us our history and how we should feel about it. And I'd like to remind him that some of the first ships that went to Africa and extracted slaves were in the 1500s. So whilst we might talk about the British transatlantic slavery period, the extrication of and enslaving of Africans went on for hundreds of years. And I'd also like to draw his attention to, it's fine for him to say that we bought into it because we had 10,000 years. Yes,
Yeah.
we had tribes. Like they've had tribes here in the British Isles, the Welsh and the Irish and the Scots. They were all tribes originally, the Normans and the Saxons. We call them, these are tribes, right? And some were successful and some weren't. So when we talk about tribes are not just synonymous to the African continent. There have been tribes, white European Americans happily killed off the many tribes that were in North America. So tribes is not synonymous just to the African continent. But what he hasn't mentioned, and what is mostly our cry, is the violence that it took to colonize, and what that violence looked like, and what enslavement looked like. Some of the practices that were, used on us during enslavement. And that's really our problem. Our problem is the length of time is what it was, but look at the practices that were used on us, and look how laws and legislation were used to hold us back. And let us again, still to this day, if we had a white girl named Mandy on here and you and her were to film yourselves going for the same level of credit, the same level of everything, and go to get a bank loan, you would be refused and she's more likely to be successful. Why? Just because of the color of your skin. Got nothing to do with your business practices. This is how it is. And so again, I don't really whilst it was a long read, and because you were reading it, I didn't want to be rude, but I really have no time for these people, because I'm not going to let any white person explain to me our history, explain to me what it felt like, and tell me what I should and should not be doing it. The Irish still don't like the English. How about that? So before you want to tell me, go and sort that out. Go and kick the English out of Northern Ireland and take back the whole of it. When we don't get involved in your business, please leave us to our whining. We hear your whining and we sip our drinks and we keep it moving. I would encourage you to do the same. And don't think for now you really got my goal. Don't think for a second, because you might be laying down. Maybe the family that you've joined are the types that turkeys vote for Christmas. We've got a few of them. You've seen them. They've been going to these reform rallies. They think because they're British, they're somehow not part of this right-wing setup. So maybe that's his stance. That's the black family that he's involved in. But brother, never leave the safety of your inadequacies and slight retardation in argument to come outside of those sacred walls, to come out here and try and argue with a real one, or try and put your point across, because it was reductive. It didn't prove any points, and we don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I'm going to respond to this in the morning. I didn't read all of this properly because when we get to it anyway. Craig Gua, explain the corruption in African countries to this day, Rwanda genocide, and don't Google Shaka Zulu African tribes slaughtered each other en masse. Obviously, this was done apparent. However, you never mention Islamic slave traders who traded whites. It's just white, bad, brown, good. They might get bright, boy.
Because they don't like the legacy of their history. And now that we are in a digital age, when all of this stuff is coming out and we're seeing depictions and we're hearing these cases, of course, increasingly it is white, bad, brown, good, because your forefathers were what they were. And you can't escape that fact. Now, it must be difficult for them to, I honestly, and it'll make it worse now. We are living in the crumbling last throes of white supremacy everywhere.
Yeah. So they're
highly defensive because they can see this their systems that they lived propped under for hundreds of years are crumbling before their very eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, let's look at what's happened with Epstein Island just briefly. I said on my WhatsApp status, right? I follow this guy, I can't even remember his name now, but he really is teaching me. And he said something. He said, the only reason that white people there's not this massive outcry, both in the UK. Did you see this week that the Parliament voted that there will be no investigation into the rapists of the children and women of Epstein Island? Did you see that here in the UK?
Yeah.
While we were asleep, the UK government voted to not investigate. Why? Because they will be
Andrew was in there, innit?
100% outrage in this country and in the United States is only fueled by race. If they don't have a brown person or a black person to say they shouldn't have done that, they cannot hold themselves accountable for what they do. This has been the defiling of babies, the eating of babies, and you can hear very little about it in terms of white accountability. Few, older white women, baby boomers bleating on about it, but not in the way that you would think. So I would suggest that he turns his attentions to looking at that, the master race, what they've been doing, the defilement of children, where they're trying to justify it, rather than our experience of history. We will deal with our problems. You continue to deal with yours.
Yeah. Yeah. Me have to go in. I'm going to have to go in there tomorrow, not today. I'm not going to think about what it is that I'm going to write. But Jennifer holds her own anyway. She always does. Give me a history lesson regarding the Hutu and Tutsi tribes. Could you also tell me about Rwandan genocide? How did that start exactly? Because it's bollocks what he's saying. Show me evidence of other transatlantic slaves that didn't involve black people that lasted 400 years. Exactly.
Come
on. Exactly. There was no response to that. Let me just respond to her now and say exactly that. Come on, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Come on.
They're bored, they're lonely, their system is crumbling around them. They've been found out to be pedophiles and rapists, and they don't like it because that is what their system has stood on. If you're a Caribbean descendant, you are very much a sexual violence. The whole of us, we're a product of the sexual violence that was enacted in the Caribbean. These are facts. These are not myths. So let them please look to their own and look at what they've got going on and leave us to our little murmurings on Facebook. We're not harming anyone, but you lot love to come in
our little group.
Right.
Charlene said, we don't like to work with each other. We have no trust amongst each other. And I think she's right to a degree. But Natty's saying, that's not true. Black people work together every day. Families, communities, churches, businesses and networks run on trust. The issue isn't no trust. The trust is selective and gets damaged by some weak accountability.
Come on. You've got the Pentecostal Credit Bank, Pentecostal Community Bank. How much million they have? They're a bank. They are church and black led. I've been to their meetings. There are so many things that we have that are black owned. But if you don't do the research, you will buy into this. Oh, we've got nothing, and look at them. They've got no.
There's a lot. We just need to do the research and promote it more, I guess, so that it's more of a wide conversation and knowledge. Charlene Samuel, if that's the mindset of your thinking, then you have just confirmed all Black people do not look up your history, and you would see what happened when we did bond together, says Clyde D.
Okay.
John Wright, you've never bonded except for a short-term gain, says John Wright, where once again your own leaders let you down due to their own greed, jealousy, childish immaturity combined with no long-term plan. Conditioned.
Let me tell you about ADWA. ADWA. Right?
Yeah.
Ethiopia, I believe this to be in the 60s or 70s, went to the World Bank and said, we need to build a dam. All the people that live below this water level, they suffer. We need to build a dam. The IMF said no. Ethiopia looked internally, and over a course, I think, of 20 or 30 years, they built the dam with donations from school children, from donations from their own population. They still built the dam. Our problem is that we still have this mentality where we think Superman, Spider-Man, and Wonder Woman are coming to save us. We have the very resources we need to be successful as a community right here in our midst. And once we stop believing that it needs to be done, you know, white man's got to come and tell us, or it's got to be. Once we start believing in ourselves, we will be unstoppable. But until that day, we will be constantly looking outside of ourselves when we have the possibility right here.
Right here. And it goes back to something that you said on a previous show, that we are entitled. So we feel like because this has happened to us, and in a way, I get it, this has happened to us, you need to do good. You need to do good. But we've got to understand that they're never going to do good.
They're never going to do it. We're asking for the impossible. And see, that's the difference. And I did take some of the... You have to reflect, right? When other communities were saying, listen, you lot still want to play victim. We've, when I was researching my TED talk and I read about the atrocities that happened on the Indian subcontinent, it was disgusting. Nobody's got anything good to say about the British. Nobody, right?
Yeah.
But the difference is, I suppose, they didn't let that scar them, or they weren't scarred to the point that they could never recover from it. I think listen, in internal conversation, that's why community conversations are so important, because we've got to have that conversation with ourselves where we say, this is the last generation we're going to allow it to scar. Moving forward, we're moving forward together, and this is what we're building. And I think that's the difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, people are saying we're conditioned to be that way. It's not natural. We're too divided and been brainwashed to believe other communities do things better than our own, which is more or less what you're saying, because Ian's saying we've been brainwashed to believe other communities do things better than our own, which isn't necessarily true. Even if our communities are doing well, it doesn't mean that they're better. It means they've built systems we can study. Learning from what works isn't worship, it's strategy. Too many of us forget there was a time in history where all was learned from us. Anyway, John Wright comes into this conversation again. And that's where he goes on to keep saying that we had 10,000 years, blah, blah, blah. And Ian says, where in my statement did I say the Caucasians divided us? You must have some sort of inherited guilt to even bring that up. Run along and stay out of melanated people's business.
100%.
Yeah. Well said. I'm surprised. Samantha saying, well said, I'm surprised that more people in here have not responded to his comments. It's because we didn't see him. But I'm going to think about how I'm going to respond to John Wright, because he's obviously he says, I have absolutely no inherited guilt for things done to people that I or you never knew, by people that I or you never knew. Maybe you have your own inherited inferiority. Have you ever thought that the way to fight racism is not by using your own racism within your silly comment about skin tones? There's a thought.
The thing is, the thing is, Trisha, and you know, he has touched a nerve here with me, and it's something that I wish even we
he's
would
touched
remember.
the nerve. Yes,
It's touched the nerve. When the Windrush generation came here, right? Now, before we came here, you know, working class people didn't own their homes. No demographic owned their own home. We come here with all of the things I've said before, illiteracy, we came here and out of necessity, we built banking systems that we would know as partner, and people were able to buy their own homes. It was after we came here and bought homes out of necessity that people started, working class, white people, Turkish people, Asian people started to buy their own homes. So in a way, I do think that we have allowed people like him not to talk, but they're kind of right, because if an illiterate class of Caribbean people that didn't have very much could come here and own their own homes in one generation, what have we done with that legacy? That is huge. And literate people come here and work 2-3 jobs, band together and buy homes for their families. What have they done with it?
Because a lot of them had like the big houses.
Right. Brothers and sisters fall out. Now I want mum's dead. There's 13 of us. I want my 800,000 or whatever it is. We have to look at these things. Economics is not a thing that happens in the classroom. It happens, in fact, it happens with assets. It happens with wealth. It happens with property.
Yeah.
And for that, we have to hold ourselves accountable.
We have to hold ourselves accountable for lack of knowledge in terms of how things work as well, because taxman comes in and says you can't inherit more than so-and-so. So you need to give us 40% of that, what you've inherited, which kind of forces us to sell properties to pay off HMRC, when there's so many things that you can do to prevent that. So you could do trusts, you know what I mean?
A living trust.
So
Nobody,
trust,
right.
Do your will, basic. If you don't want to do a trust, you can do a will. If there's you get that inheritance, you get an allowance for each individual. So if there's 4 of you, then you will it to, you know what I mean, to make sure that everyone gets their equal, everyone gets that allowance, and that usually beats out the HMRC 40%, because once everyone puts their allowance together, then it's not going to hit that threshold. So a lot of it is about education, and a lot of it is about passing that education on to our kids. And we're the aunties, like you said earlier, we are the aunties now. So it's for us to be doing wills and making sure that we have our things in place, because
100%.
a lot of the legacy is been lost because of that. But yeah, this is because I've only read bits and pieces of it. So here's where he says, because Samantha was triggered by him, and for good reason, because I didn't read it all. John Wright, you're still here, nice and comfortable. Good on you. He said, I'm very comfortable, and why wouldn't I be? I grew up in a very diverse area among many, many Africans and West Indians. We all joked amongst ourselves and laughed at each other, and knew that we had each other's backs when needed. And my in-laws love me too. Must be because they know I speak the truth. So I read like little bits, and then I thought, okay, well, is he being racist, but then I've got to remember slave masters found their slaves sexually attractive. So because you're with someone,
Come on,
it doesn't mean, do you know what I mean? I've always got to remember
come
that.
on. Yeah. And you don't know, we don't know his missus, we don't know what the pull is, we don't know, how he came to be part of a family. And I'm not saying that he's not spitting facts according to his perspective. What I'm encouraging him to do is be have a wider education on this. It's not just what he has said. And actually, we came here with a lot, and this is where the reflection piece is back on us. What did we do with that? And the other thing I want to say is, I think the older generations were very much guided by what I call the village mentality. There was always an uncle somewhere who'd done a law course. This time, uncle's not finished the law course, but who became the, Mr. Nevins, he knows everything. Also, encourage your children to do research. Research is such an important tool for success. Do you understand? Research, be analytical, think about it, discuss it. This is not what I saw. A lot of the older generation discuss it in amongst themselves, which was effectively turkeys were voting for Christmas. However, we now live in a digital age where this information is free at hand. And I really would encourage people to look at, especially those of us 50, you know, we're starting to look at our end of life plans, so to speak. Look at trusts, look at living trusts, how you can leave your money to your children. This is important. Look at life insurance, the payouts. These are the things that we really need to be researching as a people so that we leave our children. You might not be able to leave them a house, but you will have a life insurance payment. Do you understand? These are important things. We need to start planning for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's also an insurance that you can get. I'm going to get the guy that does the broker in to come on and talk about it, but there's an insurance that you can get that pays out for the inheritance tax. So there's so many things that we can put in place to protect our assets and to stop losing it due to ignorance. So his comments were out of order, and it goes on. I'm not going to continue to read them. It does go on, and I'm going to think about how I'm going to respond to it tomorrow. But I do think that sometimes truth does hurt. So when it's like, actually, you lot need to take accountability because it's not just slavery while you're here. It's not. There's a lot more that we can be doing, and educating ourselves is definitely one of them. And I'm going to end on that note. I think I'm going to end right there. Educating ourselves.
Positive. Educate yourselves.
Yeah, just start looking into things and how we're not just throwing away our parents' and grandparents' legacy. We just absolutely need to look into that.
That's how you start generational wealth. 100%, my friend.
That's it. And it's not their responsibility to teach us that. It's not their responsibility to come in and save us from where we're at now. It's absolutely our responsibility. And with that part, I agree. Verona's saying, seriously, I need to do this now. I've got kids. Get a will. Do your research. Inbox me if you need me to point you in the direction of someone who can hook you up with a life insurance and who can do wills, and someone inbox me and I will point you in the right direction of some real skilled, experienced people who know what they're doing. It's time. We've got to just stop talking, stop blaming, stop projecting, which is basically what he was saying. It's just the way in which he was saying it was just ridiculous. And
nobody doesn't want to hear it from a white man.
Fucking skin in the game here. Get out of here. I've done quite well. I swear a lot, and I've been trying not to swear. I've only sworn twice on the show today, so give me a round of applause. Carl would be pleased. But no one don't want to hear nothing from you. But yeah, let's do it. Inbox me if you need any help. And I'll point you in the direction of some great individuals who know their stuff. And
if anybody wants a link to the Pentecostal Community Bank, please also DM me. I do check my messenger inboxes at least once a week because it's a black-owned bank. It will give you favorable loans and rates. Let's generate. If you can get somebody else to join with you. These entities, these institutions are black-led and run. I know the people that chair it and are on the governance board. Let's do this. The time of crying to say, oh, we don't have this, we do have. But we have to use them while they're there.
Yeah, absolutely. Always a pleasure. I'll talk to you offline to see when you're going to come on next, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. But thank you, everyone. I've really enjoyed tonight. Thank you very much for having me, as always.
As usual. Always is with you, man. Always is. Love you loads, man.
Love you too. Mwah. See you, everyone. Take care. Bye.
I was going to say, let me just say thank you to everyone for joining us. Thank you for your comments and your debates and everything in the group. The group is called No Bravado. John White ruffles some feathers, but at the same time, it is called No Bravado, and I guess
he had none. He had none.
Yeah, he said he came with his chest to say what he had to say. Not that we agree with it, but hey. But you guys post in the group. You keep this thing going and have done for 5 years.
Well done.
And I really, really appreciate you. So again, thank you for showing up day in and day out to debate with us. Even if it is free comments, it's still a contribution, and we love you for it. So
yep.
And catch me at Black Owned market it's called Makudo. It's a black-owned market in Lewisham Shopping Centre. I will be down there with my Diva Choice products this Saturday, so do pop in and see us. I'll be lined up with a whole bunch of black-owned entrepreneurs selling wonderful, great things in their business. So it is shifting. We are doing things, and we're showing up and we're showing out with our businesses, and we need your support. So do come down and see us on that note. Yeah?
Definitely, yes. Take care, my darling. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye. Bye.